Good morning. Here's something for Valentine's Day. It's Valentine's Day for me. I don't know about you watching this, but it's a sort of universal issue anyway. So, you know how, especially in the world today, relationships tend to go sour in the long term. We start out, we fall in love, and everything's bright and exciting, and the world is shimmering, and we are ecstatic. And somehow, over time, the honeymoon fades, as they say. The honeymoon's over, and we start to get into a bit of a grind with relationships. We start to feel annoyed. We start to lose that passion and that unconditional love that we came in with. And the focus turns from caring most for the other person and for the magic of the relationship that you're creating together, and it turns inward to your own well-being. You know, I'm going to take care of myself. I've got to protect myself. I've got to be prepared for the hurt. I've got to shut down my expectations. However it is that we do this self-protection process. And, you know, the first question is, why does that happen? And the second question, of course, is there something we can do about it? That's the good news. So why it happens, think about how you have to be open and vulnerable to even be in a meaningful relationship. If you're not fully present and your heart is not open, if you're not showing up for it in a very tender way, you really don't have anything there to enjoy. There is no relationship. Relationship is all about that intimate heart connection that requires us to drop our protections and our walls and our boundaries in some ways. And because we are all just human, and we all come with our stuff that we're working through, hopefully, ideally, there are misunderstandings. Inevitably, there are going to be misunderstandings. Inevitably, there are going to be mistakes. Inevitably, there are going to be moments where we're not bringing our best, and consciously or not, intentionally or not, we hurt the other person. We're going to get hurt, is the short answer. If you're in a relationship that has any meaning at all, there's the possibility for being hurt. And we might even say the inevitability of being hurt. You know, how we deal with hurt, whether we allow ourselves to take it personally as something that's wounding for us or traumatic for us, that's a different topic. For now, we're just looking at the dynamics of a relationship. A, you have to be vulnerable, and B, you're a human and you're in a relationship with another human, and there's going to be pain at some point. That's not a bad thing. I mean, we think of pain in this culture as something we want to avoid at all costs. That's a very limited, mundane level perspective, because pain is a lot bigger than that, and it's mostly just a wake-up call for in whatever way. It's like, wake up, there's a tiger biting your ankle, or wake up, you're looking at the situation from a perspective that's hurting you, or whatever. But I don't want to get into that. I've got a little note here today because I didn't want to get lost, and I'm kind of feeling like I'm getting lost. So in any case, we start shutting down. That's the short form. We start closing off the love because we're trying to protect our hearts. And as we do that, of course, the relationship becomes more distant. And the more we do that, the more we become self-involved with our own feelings, our own protection, the less we're showing up in a relationship, the less there is of a relationship. We drift apart. That's what we call that. We grow apart. We lose the love. Well, we don't have to do it that way. We're doing it that way because consciously or not, we're making a choice that we are more important than the relationship. That our avoidance of pain or having our crap challenged, our inner crap challenged, is more important to us than the inestimable gift of this other person's presence in our life, this sacred being who's willing to walk with us and share with us this incredible, chaotic, crazy journey called life. So even though that's the tendency when we're not paying attention, this is what starts to happen automatically. We do have another option, and that's, that answers question B. Well, what do we do about it? Or question 2, whichever it was. So I've been developing this thing. I don't know if you've heard it from me before, but I've been developing this thing that I call a love practice. And I started it because I was so shut down in my ability to feel love and loved due to, the way I was raised and my early experiences. I had to actually look at, okay, how do we develop that capability? How do we develop the ability to sense love, to feel love, to connect to the fabric of the universe, which is a love, like a field of love? And as you go through this practice, at one level, you can begin to apply it to the people in your life. That's that's an advanced level. Because those are the hardest things to do. We can love a sunset. We can love the earth. We can love animals. We can love, all kinds of things. But to love another person is the biggest test because it has the biggest potential for hurt. And the beauty of this is when you bring the love practice in to a relationship and you begin to develop this love in relation to a person, to your significant other, the beauty of it is it shifts you back. It just turns the corner, just like 180-degree flip from caring about you and your safety and protection to where you were when you fell in love with this person, to caring about them, to marveling at them, at the wonder of them, at the magnificence of them. And the joy and expansiveness of just simply submerging yourself in the field of love, in the experience of love, unconditional love. That's really what we want, more than, the ego will say we want all kinds of things. We want to be seen, we want to be heard, we want to be respected, we want to be appreciated, we want to be desired, we want to be admired, we want probably an endless list. But that's all ego stuff. Underneath it all we really want is to be in love. Literally in the field of love, in the experience of love. We want to feel love pouring into us and flooding through us. That's what it's all about. That's why love is so fantastic. Being in love, or falling in love, is because we get to experience that in a way that we really have to work on at other times. And it's like those epiphanies of spiritual awakening that we get, where all of a sudden, your eyes are opened and you see things and understand things and experience the world in a way that you never knew you could. And then that moment passes and the work becomes finding a way back to that state consciously and intentionally. And love is the same. Falling in love is like that epiphany. This is what life can be. This is what we could feel all the time. And then the honeymoon's over and the work begins. The joyous, precious work of finding our way back to that state of constant, immaculate, infinite, unconditional, like steeping in love. Can you feel that? Like how wonderful that would be to face life on those terms, from that perspective, with that experience. So let me check my notes. Yeah, that's pretty much all I'm just skimming, but that's pretty much all I wanted to say. And just, I'll share this with you briefly before we go. When I was at the ashram, which was one of the most transformational periods of my entire life, I felt literally like I was in a tumble dryer of evolution. I was changing every week or every 2 weeks. I felt like a completely new person. So I reference that time quite frequently because it was so potent for me. And one of the epiphanies that I had then was there is no protection for the heart. There is no safety in this world other than opening your heart completely wide open. That is the best protection. That is the only safety and security. And I, at that time, had no idea what that meant. I just, I downloaded that and I went, wow. Then I went, what does that even mean? And then I went, how could I possibly even do that? So the last decade and a half or something, I've been building back up to living in that state of epiphany. And this is what I've been learning now, and what I've shared with you today is my understanding to this point of what that means and how to do it. And just, I want to put that out for you, try to perceive that the only real protection is opening your heart up even bigger. So see if you can't take that perspective into your day-to-day with all of its challenges and joys and opportunities. And I will do the same, of course, and we'll check back in tomorrow. I hope you have a wonderful, beautiful, lovely day. Blessed be.